Hey everybody, thanks for stopping in for episode number 5, the process from home search to closing. This one is really good, and this is where your whole team comes together to make the whole process work. There, I use the word process again. But your goal is to get to the finish line, get you into that house. Well, that's one of your goals. Your ultimate goal is just to have a beautiful life after that. But we'll talk about that once we get to episode 6. But for now, episode 5, the process.
Yeah, that's when you enter the roller coaster, the emotional roller coaster.
Oh my.
But we're here to support you, hold hands
Have you ever
on
had
that roller coaster.
To hug somebody or let them cry on your shoulder?
Many times, and we have all been there, and it's totally normal. It is a stressful part of life, but we're here to make it as easy and smooth as possible.
And once we've got closed, those people that were so stressed out,
it all goes away. It all goes away.
Oh, and then they get to enjoy their house. So many balls in the air. So I was thinking of a juggler when I was putting that one in there. But there are a lot of moving parts with this process.
Yes. And having a good team and all working hand in hand, I think it's extremely important. I would add one more in case you're selling in a different state. That person needs to be on here too. This is a big part. We all need to work as a team together.
True.
Yeah.
So why is that important? It's like, well, everybody that's on our little list there, from your lender, the TC, that's the transaction coordinator. That's a lady that we've hired to handle all the paperwork and make sure all the timelines are met. The home inspector, and then the agent that's helping you sell your house. We all need to have this communication going. So things do happen. It's how we respond to them that determines whether we're going to have a successful outcome or not. So the home search, I think this is probably one of the first things, is that, especially if someone's not here, but even if they are, we set them up a home search on the Collab Center.
Yes.
And then what happens from there?
What happens from there is we hope that everybody uses that Collab Center and puts little hearts on it and question marks and dumps some that are absolutely no options. That helps us to narrow down what we are looking for, and then we're going to start looking for houses. We're going to go out, we can take videos, neighborhoods, homes. We're going to be very critical about homes. Yeah. Very
true. And so that Collab Center, that's a search engine that's tied directly to our MLS, so it has the most up-to-date, accurate data possible. And we have seen instances where Zillow is way out of date. People will send me a Zillow link and say, wow, I'd like to go see this house. And I go, wow, somebody bought it 3 months ago. Oh.
Yeah. And builders like to put their, I call it now I don't know how I call it anymore.
Oh, yeah?
Wheel.
Okay.
It's like throwing wheel.
They're just kind of like throwing it out there.
Throwing it out there, and it's like, no, it's not really 100% correct information.
Right.
Yeah. So that's where I think we come in, and that website, what we set up, is the way to go.
And so it's like, if you're still a year out, we'll set up this to give you an email once a day or once a week, so you're not bombarded. But if you're like in that zone, we could set that so you'll get a notification as soon as a house that matches your criteria comes on the market. I mean, immediately you'll get an email alert. So it depends on where you are in the process. Back to the process. So what does the Treasure Valley Dave team do for me? Wow, lots of stuff. We obviously set up that search for you. We also bring to you so many people that are going to be part of your team that gets us to the finish line. And also we have that big shoulder for him to cry on.
Exactly.
Oh,
that's my favorite.
That is kind of fun. If I'm relocating from out of the area, we've got a little special segment there for some extra things that will be taking place. Some of the things like working with your agent that's selling your home, also being your eyes and ears here when it comes to your and nose. when your home inspection, that's a huge one. And I think we're going to talk about more of that in just a little bit when we talk about due diligence. But also when it gets time to almost to the close, there's like the final walkthrough, or if you're buying a new construction, it's the NHO, the new homeowner orientation. And we have some people that can't make it. Mm-hmm. We've had some people where half the family could come and the other half couldn't, and we'll still go out there and we'll videotape it so you can refer back to it, or the person that wasn't there can refer back to it. So we've looked at some houses, and it's like, okay, that house, he says it works great, probably because it has a big shop. I don't know. It's been done. So do you want to pass or play? Well, I don't know. The house is too close to the mother-in-law, too pricey. The pool's too small. It's not going to work for us. So, yep, if the house isn't going to work for you, let's put it aside. Let's move on to the next one. Because there's even though we have low inventory, you still have a pretty wide range of houses to look at. So now you found the right home. What do they need to do?
Now, since we have all the steps done before,
Right.
we have our lender, if we do need a mortgage, everything is already set, we're going to make an offer.
We'll have to make a decision.
We have to make, I thought we already playing.
Oh. Well, so you have to be ready to make that decision. It's like,
That's right.
you know, I used to sell cars, and people would just come out on the weekend and just literally kick tires. They just want to see what's out there. So it's
That's
like,
what open houses are for.
that's true. So yeah, open house tire kicking event. But we're in the zone. We're looking for your house. And what sometimes happens when you find the perfect house?
Somebody else thinks that's the perfect house too.
Exactly.
The chance is very high.
So even though it has like 20, 30, 40 days on market number, let's not horse around. Let's get our offer in.
Yeah, at least have the conversation started. That is communication. I think it's one of the biggest, and it's not just the communication between the agent and the buyers or the sellers. It's agent to agent. I think is a very, very big point.
You know, I believe that we've had some difficult transactions where that communication between us and the listing agent has kept it together.
Yes, absolutely.
And we've had other ones where there was no communication there. We usually keep it together, but it's just the most pain in the bottom kind of a transaction. It's like, oh, I guess I have to go buy a new TV now. Oh, you asked me about that, I'll tell you. Prepare for competition. Like we were just saying, as soon as you fall in love with a house, somebody else will as well. And bid competitively. What happens if we do a low ball offer?
If it's really a low ball offer, we might just get rejected if there's no communication. And
you know, conversely, let's say we put an offer in at what the house should be valued at, but the seller is one of those sellers. They're doing, I don't know, do they call it like a high ball selling price? That won't work either.
We have that situation, yeah. Yeah, we come in with this is the value, and sometimes it's just presenting the seller with, okay, this is why we are making this offer.
Right.
So we provide all that information for the seller to make the right decision.
Yep, and I think oftentimes that when we provide that information to the listing agent, it's very helpful. Did you know that 85% of the agents get out of the business after a couple of years?
I heard that, yeah.
So a huge percentage of the agents out there, well, most of them only do like 1 or 2 deals a year, and they don't have a lot of experience. So us kind of guiding them through it, and you know, we're not all about ourselves. If we can help somebody else that needs some education on something, you know, we're right there to do it.
Yeah, and it could also be that the agent recommended a different price, but yeah, the seller would like to see. Make me move. I think that's how it's called on Zillow, make me move.
Nice. Don't negotiate yourself out of a house.
Oh, we just had it.
Tell me.
We just had that a seller They were very, very stubborn, and they made it very, very complicated, and we were at counter 6. And at that point, we were like, okay, it's just done. It got bitter, it got frustrating for all parties, I think. It was just nitpicking on things, and from that point on, it would have just gotten too complicated. So we passed, moved on.
And, if you don't fall in love with a house and then just, it's like, I have to have that house or I'm going to die. There's going to be another house. And when I've seen this, usually the next house that someone goes to, they just love it all the more and they never even think of the first one.
That's right. There's always a reason.
Exactly. It was meant to be.
It was meant to be, exactly.
So what does this mean, keep contingencies to a minimum?
So if let's say you need to sell your house, please have your house. It's better that your house is already on the market or that you're just in a snap ready to put it on the market. So have your realtor on that side already in place if it's not us here. Have that in place, have your pictures taken, have your lender ready that you don't need to go through that process because that's also part of a contingency that you have to get pre-qualified if you're doing this with a loan. The further you're in the process, if you need to sell the property, the better it is after inspection, after appraisal. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. What are some other contingencies? So you talked about getting pre-approved with a lender and having a house to sell. Those are probably the biggies.
And then, right after that, it's the inspection.
The inspection, right?
The inspection. And that's a big one, and that's something to protect the buyer. You want to protect your investment. So you want to make sure that you're really buying a solid home, nothing that's going to be falling apart as soon as you move in.
That's true. So we're going to talk about contingencies in a little bit when we talk about the stuff we put into an offer. But yeah, those are the big ones. And they're, like Maureen said, the one for your inspection is a huge one to protect you. So we're going to put in the offer. All right, Maureen, this is the house I want. Let's put in an offer. What do I need?
Yeah, what are the terms? How soon, of course.
So it's
What's
not just
the offer
price.
It's not just the offer price. Yes, of course, we got to start somewhere. That's where we're going to do the CMA. And you're going to be the one who's going to make a decision to, okay, this is the price I feel comfortable spending for this house, or that is it what it's worth? And then what are the terms? How soon can we close? I think that is a very big one. Maybe the seller needs a little bit more time. Communication, very big part. It could be that the seller would like to close in 30 days but need to stay 14 more days to give them extra time to move out, to get the stuff out of the shop. And
it makes sense. And if it works for you, the buyer, that it's like, I mean, you're already paying, maybe you're in a rental or something and you're already in it for another couple months. Let the seller have that extra 2 weeks. That way they'll pick your offer over somebody else's.
That's right, yeah.
That means so much. I mean, it's not just money. So I'm the buyer. We've got earnest money to put down. So what is that and what does it mean? So
the earnest money is something, it doesn't go to the seller. Let's start off with that. It goes in an escrow account. So nobody has that at that point. It shows that you are able and willing to purchase this property. And it's typically about 1% of the purchase 1%. Amount.
Okay. I just heard from somebody else it's always $2,000.
I heard that too, but...
Do you suppose he does more than 2 deals a year? I'm not sure.
No, it could be. I mean, we had, not for new construction, it can be anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000, or if you're going higher, it could be even more than that.
Right.
Yeah, it's part of good communication.
And that's so important. I had one where we had a vet moving into a house who didn't have money to put down, because she needed it for moving expenses. So we went in with zero earnest money. And the agent calls me up and goes, is this a typo? And then we communicated. We said, no, we're very much wanting to move forward with this. Our person just doesn't have the money because they were selling their current house and they hadn't closed yet. So after we had that communication and that talk, the agent goes, okay, yeah, I can tell my seller that. And then everything worked out, and now she moved in and everything hunky-dory.
Yeah, good communication. It's all coming back to that.
Right. So contingencies. Let's talk about an inspection contingency a little bit. So I'm buying a used house. The inspector goes out and he finds some stuff wrong. So does that mean I can the buyer can ask the seller to get everything fixed so the house is in a new condition? Or
you could. I'm not sure if I would recommend that, because you will see, the inspections report that you're getting, and we have, by the way, a wonderful inspector, they're very detailed. You will see a lot of things. It's tiny, it's caulking, everything is on there. And for an existing home, if it's 20 years old, you will always find something. Everything that is hazard, that, of course, I think we should always ask to have that repaired.
There's always a GFCI outlet.
Exactly. There's always one. And this is an easy fix. And some homeowners do it themselves. Some need to bring in an electrician for that. But that is something, yes, it always has to be repaired.
But if you're a buyer and you want a perfect house that's in brand new condition, what should they do?
Maybe thinking about purchasing a brand new house.
There you go. That makes sense.
There's warranties. There's home warranties that come with new construction. So
that's true too. Yeah.
And then, of course, there is the home warranty
that you could get for a new or existing.
For a new or an existing home. Yeah, and it's a fairly good price. Anywhere starting from $400,
right? Depending
on the size of the house and what do you all want to cover.
And just because this has happened, there is a difference between a home warranty and homeowner's insurance.
Yes.
So home warranty is something that you buy to cover the different systems in your house, appliances and things like that. So if something happens, you pay a small deductible, the repairman comes out and does this stuff. Home insurance is when your house burns down or somebody trips on your sidewalk, then you have that protection.
Good point.
Wow.
Yes. Other inspections, because we have that to septic system, water, you want to check your well, how good is the pump, productivity test.
Very true.
Yeah, that's also a big part. Yeah, and then it's either you asked the seller to make some repairs, or you could negotiate a credit. If you find out that the foundation is terrible, maybe it's time to walk away.
Right.
And to terminate.
Get your earnest money back.
And get your earnest money back.
Right.
Yes.
So congratulations, your offer is accepted. And then this is when all these things start happening right away. So the things that concern you, everything concerns you, but the things that you're going to be participating in is our TC lady. She's the one that handles all the paperwork. She's going to be reaching out to you to give you instructions on how to get your earnest money over to the title company. In Idaho, we use a title/closing company. They do both of those things. The TC is going to be getting with you, providing you different information, also coordinating with the lender to make sure the lender has everything that they need. And then as the process goes on, the title company is going to be getting back with you eventually. It's going to go through the TC, could come through us. The lender's going to be involved. Also, we'll get the home inspection scheduled and we'll be out there. One thing, speaking of home inspections, whether you're in the area or not, what we like to do is, I'll let you tell it, how much fun we have doing it.
So I know if we're trying to do whatever if you would be here in town, what would you do as a buyer? And if your home inspector, this is somebody you hire, Now you're paying for the home inspection. You would probably want to have a one-on-one conversation with that person to see, okay, am I buying a good house? Is it going to fall apart or not? So since if you're not here, we go out, we're going to have that conversation, take a video of that conversation, send it to you before you even get the report, just as a peace of mind. It can take up to 48 hours to get the very, very detailed, I don't know how many pages, report back. And this is part of the roller coaster. It could be stressful 48 hours knowing, okay, are we gonna move forward with this house, or are we gonna find a big hole in the roof?
And I find that this big scary report, it can say something, and it's like, oh, you'll wig out. But you've seen the inspector talk about that on the video, and it's like, oh, this is a very minor thing, but he still puts it in the report. But your mind can go like all sorts of directions without the context.
Yeah,
that's why it's so important to have that video.
And pictures, even if there's a small crack somewhere, the picture is like this big, and the crack is tiny.
Exactly right.
Easy to fix.
And then we get closer to closing. We have that 3-day walkthrough. We have the NHO, the same thing that we were talking about earlier. We can do the videos for you, but we help you get all that coordinated, whether you're here in person or virtually. And then we close, and that means we don't close when you sign the paperwork. And if you're not here, or even if you are here, let's say you're busy working, we can help the title company set up a mobile notary to come out to where you are to get all the paperwork signed. But you're still not closed at that point. And you're still not closed when the lender sends the money over to the title company. When are we closed?
When are we closed? When we finally get the call. And the call means that it was funded and recorded.
Recorded where?
Recorded. It's recorded at the county.
Very true.
That's the most important part. So that means that your name is right there where it needs to be.
And then once it's recorded, you can get the keys.
That's when you get the keys. And in between, there is so much more that will happen. Now back to the team, we have a moving company we highly recommend, and we're trying to help you to navigate through that process, when to start what, when to switch over your utilities. Yeah. When you mentioned the notary, I remember the people that come in with their birds and the car broke down the mobile notary had to come to a different end.
Oh my gosh.
That was something. But we recorded in time.
Yeah.
As planned.
The last business day before Christmas.
Yes.
And it was at 4:55 we got the call,
and at 5 o'clock, that's it. That would have been. But yes, we make it work, and the whole team worked really, really hard on it.
And I remember that because at that evening, it was like 5:30. I went out to the church where the listing agent was with his family at some church program that his little kid was in, and he had the key. So I had to go out there and get the key from him so I could present to our people. It was a Christmas miracle.
It was a Christmas miracle, yes.
So after the closing, though, it's like this big, huge relief, but then sometimes the feeling of, did I make a mistake, creeps in. Not us, because it's just something we do. But for the buyer, it's like, this is such a big deal, emotional roller coaster, now it's stopped. It's like, oh my gosh, did I do something wrong? Is this the right house for me? Have you ever had anybody do that?
A regret?
Yeah.
Or a second? No, I don't think so.
I wonder if that's because we're with them throughout the entire process and talking things out.
Yeah. I think we address most of the things ahead of time before it actually happens. So you're prepared, so it's not a surprise. Yeah, we had one client who searched for 2 years every day. It was part of his daily routine to search and find homes and go on different builders' websites, and closed on a house. And I was like, what are you going to do with all your free time now? So, yeah, but I don't think there's any regrets. We prepare, I think, very well. For everything, that the roller coaster goes smooth.
So Maureen, we've gone through a lot of the process here. And we're going to be talking about what happens next, but did we miss anything? Is there anything else that we should address before we move on?
I think the only thing is be prepared that we're gonna keep bugging you. You became a friend during that process.
Right.
I think that's a big appointment, and then of course we're gonna remind you on a couple of other things you still need to do, like registering your appliance if you have new construction, filing for homeowners exemption, things like that, and then you get check-ins.
Well, that leads us very nicely into our last segment number 6. I'm a homeowner, now what? So, like Maureen said, you're part of the Treasure Valley Dave team family. We're going to be your resource. If you need a handyman for something, a roofer, a great mechanic, a good place to go eat, we're here for you. Also, we have other people. We've got this kind of like little community of people that really enjoy the house that they're in, enjoy being in Idaho, and want to help others.
Yeah.
So, and that's on our Facebook group. Also, we have our annual picnic.
I know, I'm very excited. And the annual picnic is where we kind of trying to help connect people where we know,
Right.
they have the same interest. So yeah.
That's great. So you guys don't want to miss out on that when we get to number 6. Well, Maureen, thanks for stopping in. Obviously, people can see that you know your stuff, and that they can rest assured that when you're working with them, that they'll be well taken care of.
It's fun. I love doing it. I enjoy it. So it's easy.
Excellent. Well, guys, we'll see you on number 6. See ya. It's not a stretch to say that there's a lot of moving parts in the transaction process, and I'm not stretching the truth when I say that you can find out what a buyer consultation is all about by clicking below. Or if you need to sell as well, click below and have a real live human research and tell you what your home is worth. Let's wind down our discussion with, I'm a homeowner, now what? Click the video button now. And if you'd like to watch our full on-demand buyer webinar for free, click the link in the description below.